All right. Hello. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Tracy?
Good. I'm good. So, I'm a longtime Cushingite, and to me, you are Dr. Grellner.
Right.
But,
right. Yeah.
But on the ballot, you are one of the candidates for the State Senate District 21 seat.
Correct.
That we're all going to the polls for on June 18th. That's not very far away for the June 18th primary election. And so tell us who you are.
Yeah. Well, I was born and raised in Western Oklahoma on a family wheat and cattle farm, and went on to, agriculture has never been very good. It's not a very good way to make a living. And in '84, graduated high school and went on to OSU to get a degree because there just wasn't a future in agriculture. And so got a degree at OSU, and then went out into industry for about 6 years and drug and sales for a pharmaceutical company. And then and loved it, but didn't want to do that the rest of my life.
Right.
So decided to go back to medical school. I was calling on doctors and had interest. And so went back there, and then my family, right after medical school and residency training, moved to Cushing. We had family ties here. And currently been practicing for 23 years here.
Yeah.
And so, and have loved it. It's been very good.
Yeah.
Been a good community for my family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So just a heads up, on the ballot, it won't say Dr. Grellner. It'll say Randy Grellner.
Correct.
So a lot of people might not know your first name.
No, that's true. That is true. Yeah. And we tried to get Doc on there, because that is a name everybody uses here.
Yes.
And they wouldn't allow it, or we could have challenged it, and it's just like, just go down the road.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So what made you decide to do this?
Yeah. Well, I think in 2014, this is 10 years ago, I called and talked to Tom Coburn, who's always been a political, I've just looked up to him politically because I think he shoots square, and said, our hospital's having trouble here and the community, and how can we turn this around? And he said, and because I was going to run for U.S. Senate at that point in time against Inhofe. And he said, they're trying to centralize it. That's what this is about. And it's probably not going to get a whole lot better. And he said, wait till your kids are out of school and I'll help you run for U.S. Senate. And so, and I did 2 years ago, and it was a good experience. But I think that, we can make a bigger impact here at the state to protect us against the federal government and the things that are going on that they're pushing downstream that are not Oklahoma values.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
So speaking on that note, what would you say is some of your biggest things that you want to see accomplish if you were to get the seat? Yeah.
Well, I think if you look at Oklahoma, there's a couple of things. Healthcare is one of them. So our state budget's about 20% of it is spent on healthcare. And we're 47th out of 50 states in the US. So how do we, the costs are only going to get worse. And so how do we have better outcomes with the money we're spending? We're spending a lot of money and we're getting outcomes we don't want. And so how do we fix that? I think healthcare has to be a big part. And I think rural America is suffering because of the centralization that's going on. So, I mean, if you drive down Oklahoma City or to Tulsa, there's new buildings going up for all kind of technology around healthcare, right? New proton pumps and, all the kind of different things that they use in cancer research and all that. But we just need basic care. And the problem in rural America is it's really access to providers and to technology. And so how do we get some of that money brought back into rural America? So, and we're really, there's a lot of, abuse of the system that's going on, and it's costing us a lot of money we need to get that out of and save that money. So I don't think we do a good job, good stewards of the taxpayer money. And so how can we save some money and redirect that into rural healthcare and really rural mental health care in the state, because it is suffering terribly.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think we have some ideas. There was an audit done in 2019 that looked at Sooner Care, which is a great program across the state. But, 35% of the people that got on Sooner Care never went through the process of being truly, you have to have certain criteria to get on Sooner Care. And the people who work for the state just put them on. $1.6 billion a year. It's never been addressed to this day.
Wow.
So that's a lot of money to come back to rural America. We don't have to spend it all. We need to start shutting, or I think our government needs to be shrunk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we're paying for it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right?
that is very true.
And it's only going to get more expensive, and our taxes are going to get worse. And people in this town are suffering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I mean, you're hardworking people that work the oil fields out here, and it's sad. And I see it every day in the office, and it breaks your heart.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, are there some other campaign points?
Yeah, I think I was born in agriculture, and there's a war on agriculture right now, and it's through fossil fuels. And so those two run hand in hand in Oklahoma. We're the number 2 beef producer in the country of states, and we're number 2 in red winter wheat, of production. And those are things that make this state money. They're great resources, and how do we enhance those? And I think we enhance it through the fossil fuels. And there's this war, this green war against fossil fuels, and that's going to kill this state if we don't fix it, or if we don't fight it.
Right.
So they're not drilling in Western Oklahoma like they were 5-6 years ago. And the reason is I think part of it is the taxes on, it's called gross, it's gross basically production. It's a gross production tax, and that is about $300 million a year. And how can we get some of that back to the oil companies so that they're incentivized to work? Because once they go to work, people go to work, and that's a huge resource that this state has. We are blessed. This state has a huge natural gas and oil and gas resource, and so I think we're number 2 state in the country in natural gas reserves. That's a clean fuel.
Yeah.
And this Green Deal, I'm all for it, but it has to cash flow. We cannot keep subsidizing it from a citizen standpoint. So when that becomes efficient, we can switch to it, but it's not here. And we're going to see, like we had in Texas a couple of years ago, an outage with ice and snow, right? People are going to freeze to death, and we're going to have problems. So those are the 2 big things that agriculture we have to support, make it stronger. It's a huge industry in this state, and oil and gas. We've got good things going on downtown. We have some things going on in molecular biology and those kind of things that I think will be future revenue sources for us. But how do we do the things that we do well here better?
Right.
And
Absolutely.
so those are some of my real big things that I want to hit. So, and really oil and gas probably be the first, because it affects this community. It really affects, you talk to the bankers in Stillwater, and they're like, we got to have oil and gas to make this thing flow. How do you have T-Boone Pickens Stadium, right? Oil and gas.
Yes.
So we have to remember that those things are important.
Yeah. One thing follows the other.
It does. Sure. It really does. And those things can make us revenue. But I think the state budget, it's going to be $12.3 billion this year. It's 10 or 11.5 last year, somewhere in there. I think it needs to shrink, because I think we're inefficient in government here. And I know everybody says that, but we have to find ways to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we're writing checks for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you would like the public to know?
Well, I was raised in the best America there was. And this is not about me. It's not about a title. I have a cool title now. And it's not a big deal to me. I'm just another citizen in Oklahoma. But I think that if we're going to save this state and this country, that people are going to have to sacrifice. And this is one way I'd like to do it, pull some time out of the practice. It's expensive. Campaigning's expensive. But it's important that we leave something behind for our kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're passionate about something, you need to go for it.
Yeah. I think we can make a difference. I think it just has to have the right people. There's not one doctor in the House or the Senate. And so when bills come up, there was a bill on conscience. Do you, right now we don't have any protection. So if they say They call me to the hospital and say, you need to abort this kid. I have to go and do it.
Right.
Or, I wouldn't, but I would have to go and do it, and I would be potentially sued later on.
Yeah.
And so, we have to be smart about what we're doing.
Right.
There are people that have different values in the state. We need to appreciate them all, but we need to protect everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So how can people get a hold of you if they've got like more questions for you or anything
Yeah.
like that?
We'll be having a forum in Stillwater next Tuesday night. So any questions will be there, be available. I see a ton of people in the office that ask a lot of questions.
Oh, I'm sure.
And we have Facebook page, and then we have a Senate page,
Okay.
Randy Grellner for Senate.com, and you're welcome to put them on there.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be tagging all of those on our YouTube page and on our social media channels, as well as our website page that we have all the different interviews on. So we'll have you covered across the board.
Okay,
there.
sounds good. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. But I welcome them, because until we all sit down and start talking about the issues that are going to change this state and make it better, we're not going to get to where, we're going to have to make some hard decisions. We're all going to have to sacrifice, but it's worth it for the future. We've already spent our kids' money.
Oh, yeah.
We got $34 trillion in debt in this country, and it hadn't made us any happier. It seems like we're all grumpy. So let's work together to put this country back to where it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming in today. We
You
really
bet.
appreciate it.
Well.
And of course, we are interviewing all of the candidates and the incumbents that are going to be on the June 18th primary election ballot. Just a very informal interview to get to know them so that you can know before you go vote. We'll also have early voting here at the Cushing Chamber office. We're located at 1301 East Main. We'll have the early voting and be hosting the Payne County Election Board on next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. That's June 13th, 14th, and 15th. On Thursday and Friday, it'll be from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And on Saturday, it will be 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. And anyone in Payne County, a registered voter in Payne County, can stop by the chamber on any of those 3 days and vote early. So that's very convenient on your own time. So
yeah, and go vote.
Yes.
I mean, if you really care about what your kids and grandkids are going to grow up in, go vote.
Yes, please do. Please. Well, thanks again, Dr.
You bet.
Grellner. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Tracy.